First contact. Humanity's terrifying debut. The vast expanse of space had always held secrets, but none quite as startling as the discovery made by the Galactic Alliance scout ship Luminous Seeker. Captain Zorax, a veteran of countless first contact missions, stood frozen on the bridge, his four eyes wide with shock as he stared at the holographic display before him. "Impossible," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the low hum of the ship's engines. "Helmsman, verify these readings." The helmsman, a lanky Quilaxian named Vex, ran her tentacles over the control panel, her bioluminescent skin flickering with anxiety. "Confirmed, Captain. The planet is teeming with sapient life, but the atmospheric composition is toxic," Zorax finished, his lower pair of eyes blinking rapidly in disbelief. "How can any life form, let alone an advanced civilization, exist in such conditions?" The planet before them, a blue and green marble suspended in the inky blackness of space, seemed innocuous enough at first glance. But the ship's sensors told a different story. The atmosphere was a cocktail of gases that would be lethal to most known species in the Alliance. Yet there it was, a world pulsing with energy signatures indicative of a pre-FTL civilization. "Captain," the ship's AI chimed in, its melodic voice at odds with the tension on the bridge. "I've completed my analysis of the planet's communications. They call themselves humans, and their world Earth." Zorax nodded, his crest rising slightly in curiosity. "Can you display an image of these humans?" The holographic display shifted, and a collective gasp echoed through the bridge. The image before them was, to their alien eyes, nothing short of horrifying. Bipedal creatures with exposed skin, flat faces, and eyes that seemed to bore into their very souls. "By the cosmic egg," Vex muttered, her tentacles curling in revulsion. "They look like the Devourers," another crew member whispered, invoking the name of a mythical race that haunted the nightmares of countless species across the galaxy. Zorax felt a chill run down his spine, but he steeled himself. He was a representative of the Galactic Alliance, and it was his duty to make first contact, regardless of his personal feelings. "Prepare a first contact package," he ordered, "and alert Alliance High Command. They need to know about this immediately." As the crew scrambled to obey, Zorax couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. These humans, terrifying as they appeared, had achieved something remarkable. They had not only survived but thrived in conditions that should have been impossible. Down on the surface of Earth, blissfully unaware of the alien eyes upon them, humanity went about its daily routines. In the bustling metropolis of New York City, Dr. Sarah Chen hurried through the crowded streets, her mind focused on the presentation she was about to give at the United Nations. Sarah was one of the world's leading experts in xenobiology, a field that had, until now, been purely theoretical. Her life's work had been dedicated to imagining what alien life might look like, how it might evolve, and how humanity might communicate with it. Little did she know that her theories were about to be put to the test in the most dramatic way possible. As she entered the UN building, her phone buzzed with a news alert. She glanced at it absently, then stopped dead in her tracks. The headline screamed, "Dore King. Unidentified object detected in Earth orbit." Sarah's heart began to race. Could it be? After all these years of searching, hoping, theorizing, had first contact finally arrived? Meanwhile, in the Oval Office of the White House, President Evelyn Morales received the same news with a mix of excitement and trepidation. She had run on a platform of unity and progress, but nothing in her political career had prepared her for this moment. "Madam President," her chief of staff said, his voice trembling slightly, "NASA confirms it's not one of ours, and it's not Russian, Chinese, or anyone else's. It's alien." President Morales took a deep breath, her mind racing with the implications. "Get me the Joint Chiefs, the Secretary of State, and for God's sake, someone find me an expert on aliens." As world leaders scrambled to respond to this unprecedented situation, the luminous seeker continued its silent vigil above the Earth. Captain Zorax watched the planet with a mixture of fascination and dread. The humans' response to their presence would determine the course of galactic history. "Captain," his communications officer called out, "we're detecting a surge of transmissions from the planet's surface. It seems they've noticed us." Zorax nodded grimly. "It's time. Initiate first contact protocols." Back on Earth, as news of the alien ship spread like wildfire, humanity's reaction was as diverse as its population. In some parts of the world, people poured into the streets, eyes turned skyward in wonder and hope. In others, panic set in, with reports of looting and violence as some prepared for what they believed to be the end times. At the UN, Dr. Sarah Chen found herself thrust into the spotlight. "Dr. Chen," the Secretary General said, his voice echoing through the suddenly silent assembly hall, "you've spent your career preparing for this moment. What do we do?" Sarah swallowed hard, feeling the weight of billions of eyes upon her. "We respond," she said, her voice growing stronger with each word. "We show them who we are, not just as Americans or Chinese or Nigerians, but as humans. We extend a hand in friendship, but we also make it clear that we will defend ourselves if necessary." As Sarah spoke, the alien transmission reached Earth. It was a simple message, broadcast on all frequencies in a universal mathematical language. The best minds on the planet worked tirelessly to decipher it, and within hours, they had their answer. "Greetings, people of Earth. We come in peace." The words were simple, almost cliché, but they changed everything. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. In the days that followed, the world watched with bated breath as diplomats and scientists worked to establish communication with the alien visitors. Dr. Sarah Chen found herself at the forefront of these efforts, her years of theoretical work suddenly very real and very crucial. But even as humanity reached out to the stars with hope and curiosity, not everyone viewed the aliens with such optimism. In the corridors of power, some saw a threat where others saw opportunity. General Marcus Blackwood, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, viewed the situation with deep suspicion. "Madam President," he said during a tense meeting in the Situation Room, "we cannot simply trust these aliens at their word. For all we know, this could be the prelude to an invasion." President Morales frowned. "And what would you have us do, General? Shoot first and ask questions later?" "I'm saying we need to be prepared," Blackwood insisted. "We need to unite the world's military forces, pool our resources, and be ready for any eventuality." As the debate raged on Earth, aboard the luminous seeker, Captain Zorax faced a dilemma of his own. The more he learned about humans, the more he realized how different they were from any species the Alliance had encountered before. "They're adaptable," he mused, reviewing the data his crew had collected. "Resilient in ways we never imagined possible. And their history, so much conflict, so much struggle, yet they've survived it all." His second-in-command, a reptilian saurian named Kex, hissed softly. "But can they be trusted, Captain? Their capacity for violence, their disregard for their own environment. They could be a threat to the entire galaxy if left unchecked." Zorax had no answer. The humans were an enigma, terrifying yet fascinating. As he prepared for the first face-to-face meeting with Earth's representatives, he couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy would never be the same again. On the day of the historic meeting, the world held its breath. In a carefully chosen neutral location, the International Space Station, now hastily modified to accommodate the alien visitors, human and alien would meet for the first time. As Dr. Sarah Chen floated into the meeting room, her heart pounding in her chest, she came face to face with Captain Zorax. For a moment, both parties simply stared, taking in the sheer alienness of each other. Then, slowly, Sarah extended her hand, a gesture of peace that had been carefully explained to the aliens. "Welcome to Earth," she said, her voice steady despite her nerves. Zorax, overcoming his initial shock at Sarah's appearance, reached out with one of his 4 arms. As their hands touched, a shiver ran through both of them. It was more than just first contact between 2 individuals. It was the meeting of 2 worlds, 2 histories, 2 futures now inextricably intertwined. Neither Sarah nor Zorax could have predicted the challenges that lay ahead. The cultural misunderstandings, the political maneuvering, the threat of war that would loom on the horizon. But in that moment, as human and alien joined hands, a new chapter in galactic history began. The universe, vast and mysterious, had just become a little bit smaller, and humanity, for better or worse, had taken its first step onto a much larger stage. The Galactic Alliance's dilemma. The news of humanity's discovery spread through the Galactic Alliance like a shockwave. In the grand chambers of the Alliance Council on the capital world of Nexus Prime, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered to debate the implications of this unprecedented event. High Counselor Zyra, a towering crystalline being from the silicon-based Luminoth species, called the session to order. Her voice resonated through the chamber, a melodious chime that belied the gravity of the situation. Esteemed colleagues, she began, her faceted body refracting light in mesmerizing patterns, we face a decision that will shape the future of our galaxy. The species known as humans have been discovered, and they are unlike anything we have encountered before. Murmurs rippled through the assembly as holographic displays flickered to life, showing images of Earth and its inhabitants. Many counselors recoiled at the sight of humans, their alien physiology triggering deep-seated fears and revulsions across multiple species. Ambassador Krell of the methane-breathing Volix spoke up, his gas-filled environment suit hissing with each word. These humans are clearly dangerous. Look at their history of conflict, their primitive emotions, their very appearance. They resemble the devourers of legend. We cannot risk bringing such a volatile species into the galactic community. But consider their potential, countered diplomat Ilara, a bioluminescent Aquarian. Her skin pulsed with vibrant colors as she spoke. They've achieved remarkable technological progress despite their harsh environment. Their adaptability could be a valuable asset to the Alliance. As the debate raged on, Captain Zorax stood before the council, recounting his first-hand experiences with humanity. His testimony was crucial, balancing the fear and fascination that the discovery had sparked. Yes, humans are different, Zorax admitted, his 4 eyes scanning the chamber. Their appearance is jarring to many of us, their history violent. But I've seen their capacity for peace, their curiosity, their resilience. They are a young species, full of potential. Back on Earth, oblivious to the galactic debate that would determine their fate, humanity grappled with its own challenges. The initial excitement of first contact had given way to a complex web of political, social, and economic upheavals. Dr. Sarah Chen found herself at the center of a whirlwind. As one of the few humans who had directly interacted with the aliens, she had become a reluctant celebrity and an invaluable resource for governments worldwide. The Galactic Alliance, Sarah explained to a joint session of the United Nations, is a confederation of thousands of spacefaring civilizations. They've offered us membership, but it comes with conditions. We would gain access to advanced technology, interstellar travel, and the collective knowledge of countless worlds. A delegate from Nigeria raised his hand. And what do they want in return, Dr. Chen? Sarah took a deep breath. They want us to prove we're ready, to unite as a planet, to end our major conflicts, to show we can be responsible members of a galactic community. The chamber erupted into chaos. Unite the planet. End all major conflicts. It seemed an impossible task for a species that had spent millennia divided. Meanwhile, in the shadowy corners of power, not everyone saw the aliens' offer as an opportunity. General Marcus Blackwood met in secret with a coalition of military leaders and industrialists who viewed the situation with deep suspicion. "Gentlemen," Blackwood said, his voice low and intense, "we cannot allow our planet's future to be dictated by these aliens. Their demands for unity are nothing more than a ploy to weaken us, to make us vulnerable to conquest. A Chinese general nodded in agreement. We must accelerate our weapons programs. If these aliens truly come in peace, why do they possess such advanced technology? We must be prepared for any eventuality. As Earth's power brokers schemed and debated, the Galactic Alliance Council reached a decision. High Counselor Zara addressed Captain Zorax and his crew. We have decided to extend a probationary offer of membership to humanity, she announced, her crystalline form shimmering. They will be given 10 Earth years to meet our conditions. During this time, we will provide limited technological assistance and cultural exchange. You, Captain Zorax, will oversee this process as our official ambassador to Earth. Zorax felt a mix of pride and trepidation at the assignment. He had come to admire humans in many ways, but he also understood the enormous challenges that lay ahead. As news of the Council's decision reached Earth, reactions were mixed. Many celebrated the opportunity, seeing it as humanity's chance to join a vast interstellar civilization. Others, however, viewed it with skepticism or outright hostility. President Morales addressed the world, her voice broadcast in hundreds of languages across the globe. My fellow citizens of Earth, we stand at a crossroads. The stars have opened up to us, offering unimaginable opportunities. But to seize this moment, we must come together as never before. We must rise above our differences, our ancient grudges, our petty rivalries. The choice before us is simple: unite or be left behind. In the days that followed, the world saw a flurry of diplomatic activity, unlike anything in human history. Long-standing enemies cautiously reached out to one another. International organizations were restructured and empowered. The first tentative steps towards a true world government were taken. But not everyone was on board with this new direction. Nationalist movements surged in many countries, decrying what they saw as a surrender of sovereignty to alien overlords. Religious leaders grappled with the theological implications of extraterrestrial life. And in hidden bunkers and secret laboratories around the world, those who feared the aliens redoubled their efforts to prepare for a war they saw as inevitable. Dr. Sarah Chen found herself walking a tightrope between worlds. As humanity's foremost expert on the Galactic Alliance, she worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between human and alien. But with each passing day, she became more aware of the forces working against unity, both human and alien. One evening, as she pored over translations of alien scientific texts in her office, she received an unexpected visitor. Captain Zorax, now the official alien ambassador to Earth, entered quietly. "Dr. Chen," he said, his alien features now familiar to her, "I fear we may have made a grave mistake." Sarah looked up, startled. "What do you mean, Ambassador?" Zorax's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of distress she had learned to recognize. "We have given humanity a glimpse of the stars, of technologies beyond their current understanding. But we have also given fuel to those who would use this knowledge for destruction. There are factions within the Alliance who believe we should never have revealed ourselves to your people." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "And what do you believe, Zorax?" The alien was silent for a long moment. "I believe in humanity's potential," he said finally. "But I also fear it. Your species has a capacity for both great good and terrible destruction. The next few years will determine not just your fate, but potentially that of the entire galaxy." As Zorax spoke, on the far side of the planet, General Blackwood stood in a vast underground facility. Before him stretched rows of reverse-engineered alien technology, the fruits of clandestine operations and brilliant human ingenuity. "Soon," he murmured to himself, "we'll be ready. Ready to take our rightful place among the stars, not as supplicants, but as conquerors." The general's words, though unheard by the rest of humanity, echoed the sentiments of a growing movement. A movement that saw in the stars not a hand of friendship, but a challenge to be overcome, a new frontier to be conquered. As the Earth spun on, unknowing, the forces of unity and division gathered strength. The clock was ticking on humanity's probationary period, and with each passing day, the stakes grew higher. The galaxy watched and waited, wondering if this strange, terrifying, fascinating species would rise to the challenge or falter at the threshold of a new era. In the vast tapestry of the cosmos, humanity stood poised between two futures, one of unprecedented cooperation and advancement, the other of conflict on a scale never before imagined. The choice, as always, would be theirs to make. Humanity's unexpected rise. 5 years had passed since humanity's first contact with the Galactic Alliance, and Earth was a planet transformed. The skylines of major cities now featured alien-inspired architecture, sleek structures that seemed to defy gravity. In the streets, humans mingled with a handful of alien diplomats and scientists, the sight of extraterrestrial visitors no longer causing the stir it once did. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the podium of the newly constructed Global Unity Center in Geneva, addressing a mixed audience of humans and alien observers. Her role had evolved from xenobiologist to chief liaison between Earth and the Galactic Alliance. In just 5 years, she began, her voice carrying a mix of pride and caution. We've made remarkable strides. Our understanding of the universe has expanded exponentially. We've begun to harness clean energy technologies that are healing our planet. Global poverty and hunger rates have plummeted thanks to advanced agricultural methods shared by the Alliance. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the audience. But we still have a long way to go. While we've made progress in resolving international conflicts, tensions remain. And there are those who view our relationship with the Alliance with suspicion or outright hostility. As if to underscore her point, the holographic displays behind her flickered with images of recent anti-alien protests. In many parts of the world, nationalist and isolationist movements had gained traction, fueled by fear of the unknown and resistance to rapid change. Meanwhile, in orbit above Earth, Captain Zorax, now Ambassador Zorax, observed the planet from the viewscreen of the permanent alien embassy station. His second-in-command, Kex, stood beside him, her reptilian features set in a concerned frown. They progress faster than we anticipated, Kex noted, her forked tongue flicking nervously. Some on the council are uneasy. Zorax nodded slowly. Humanity's capacity for adaptation is unlike anything we've seen. They're integrating our technologies, our knowledge, at an alarming rate. But their conflicts, their divisions, they persist. On the surface, unknown to both Zorax and the majority of humans, General Marcus Blackwood's secret project had borne fruit. In a hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, he stood before the fruit of 5 years of clandestine work, a fleet of ships that combined reverse-engineered alien technology with human ingenuity. Ladies and gentlemen, Blackwood addressed a group of military leaders and shadowy government figures. I give you humanity's insurance policy. With these ships, we can defend ourselves against any threat, alien or human. One of the assembled officials, a woman with sharp features and sharper eyes, spoke up. And if the Alliance discovers this project, we're violating the terms of our probation. Blackwood's face hardened. By the time they realize what we've done, it'll be too late. We'll be ready to claim our place in the galaxy, on our terms. As Earth teetered on the brink of 2 possible futures, events beyond the solar system were unfolding that would thrust humanity onto an even larger stage. In a distant sector of the galaxy, a long-dormant threat was stirring. The Vex, a machine race thought to have been defeated millennia ago, had reawakened. Their swarms of self-replicating drones began to spread through the outer reaches of Alliance space, consuming everything in their path to fuel their expansion. The Alliance Council convened an emergency session. High Counselor Zyra's usually melodious voice was tight with tension as she addressed the gathered representatives. The Vex threat is more severe than we initially believed, she announced. Our outer colonies are falling faster than we can evacuate them. Our military forces are stretched thin. We need help. A murmur of confusion rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Krell of the Volux voiced what many were thinking. Surely you're not suggesting. Zyra's crystalline form pulsed with determination. Yes, I am proposing we ask the humans for assistance. The chamber erupted into chaos. Ask the probationary humans for help. It was unprecedented, perhaps even dangerous. But as reports of Vex victories continued to pour in, the Council reluctantly agreed. They needed humanity's unpredictability, their adaptability, their capacity for warfare that had so alarmed them before. Back on Earth, the request for aid sent shockwaves through the corridors of power. President Morales convened an emergency meeting of global leaders to discuss the Alliance's plea. This is our chance, she argued passionately, to prove ourselves worthy of full membership in the galactic community, to show that humanity can be a force for good in the universe. But not everyone saw it that way. General Blackwood, invited to the meeting to provide a military perspective, saw an opportunity of a different kind. Madam President, he said, his voice carrying an undercurrent of excitement, I believe I have a solution that will not only help the Alliance but secure humanity's future among the stars. As Blackwood revealed the existence of his secret fleet, the room fell into stunned silence. For some, it was a betrayal of the trust the Alliance had placed in humanity. For others, it was a brilliant safeguard against potential alien threats. The debate raged for hours, but in the end, pragmatism won out. Earth would answer the Alliance's call for aid, and they would do so with Blackwood's fleet, a display of human ingenuity and power that would change the galaxy's perception of humanity forever. As the human fleet prepared to join the Alliance Armada, Dr. Sarah Chen found herself aboard the flagship, the HSS Defiant. As humanity's foremost expert on alien life, her insights would be crucial in the coming conflict. Standing on the bridge, watching Earth recede in the view screen, Sarah felt a mix of pride and trepidation. We're really doing this, she murmured. We're going to war among the stars. Beside her, Captain Zorax nodded solemnly. Indeed, Dr. Chen. And I fear the galaxy will never be the same. As the human fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, leaving their home system for the first time, the true test of humanity was about to begin. Would they emerge as the saviors of the galaxy, or would their intervention spark a conflict that would consume the stars? The stage was set for a battle that would determine not just the fate of humanity, but the future of the entire galactic alliance. And at the heart of it all was a species that had, in the span of a mere 5 years, gone from an isolated civilization to a key player in a cosmic drama. Humanity, for better or worse, had arrived on the galactic stage. The universe would never be the same again. The Void War begins. The vastness of space stretched before the combined fleet of human and Alliance vessels as they approached the frontier of Vex-controlled territory. The sleek, organic lines of alien ships contrasted sharply with the more angular, robust design of Earth's vessels. At the forefront of the human contingent, the HSS Defiant cut an impressive figure, its hull gleaming with a mix of terrestrial alloys and reverse-engineered alien technology. On the bridge of the Defiant, General Marcus Blackwood stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his steely gaze fixed on the holographic display showing the fleet's formation. Beside him, Dr. Sarah Chen pored over data streams, her brow furrowed in concentration. The Vex are unlike anything we've encountered before, Sarah explained, her voice tense. They're not organic, not exactly mechanical either. They're something in between. Self-replicating, adaptive, and utterly ruthless. Blackwood nodded grimly. Then we'll have to be ruthless too. Humanity didn't come this far to become cosmic cannon fodder. As if on cue, alarms blared across the fleet. The Vex had detected their approach and launched their first assault. Swarms of drone ships, each no larger than a fighter jet, poured out of swirling wormholes, their formations shifting and adapting with an eerie hive-mind intelligence. All ships, battle stations. Blackwood's voice boomed through the comm systems. Remember your training. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for the galaxy. The space around them erupted into chaos. Alliance ships unleashed salvos of energy weapons, their beams cutting swaths through the Vex swarms. But for every drone destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. It was in this moment of crisis that humanity's unique approach to warfare came to the forefront. While Alliance tactics focused on overwhelming force and complex battle algorithms, the human ships displayed a level of unpredictability and adaptability that caught both their allies and enemies off guard. Captain Elena Rodriguez of the HFY Thunderchill threw her ship into a series of maneuvers that would have been considered suicidal by Alliance standards. Her voice crackled over the comms. Thunderchild to all human ships. Initiate Operation Trojan Horse. On cue, a group of smaller human vessels launched from their carriers, appearing to flee from the battle. The Vex swarms, perceiving weakness, gave chase. But it was a trap. As the drones closed in, the human ships detonated specialized EMP devices, sending out pulses that fried the Vex's neural networks. Back on the Defiant, Sarah watched the battle unfold with a mix of awe and horror. "It's working," she breathed. "But at what cost?" Blackwood's face was set in grim determination. "War always has a cost, Doctor. Our job is to make sure it's worth paying." As the battle raged on, news of the conflict spread throughout the galaxy. On Earth, people gathered around holoscreens, watching with bated breath as humanity fought its first interstellar war. In the chambers of the Galactic Alliance, counselors debated the wisdom of involving the young, unpredictable human race in such a crucial conflict. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The combined fleet pushed deeper into Vex territory, liberating worlds and destroying hive clusters. But the cost was steep. Alliance and human ships alike fell to the relentless Vex assaults. Each victory seemed to come at a higher price than the last. In a rare moment of quiet between battles, Sarah found Ambassador Zorax in the Defiant's observation lounge, his 4 eyes fixed on the starfield outside. "Ambassador," Sarah said softly, "I never got the chance to ask. Why did the Alliance really ask for our help? Surely there were other, more advanced races you could have turned to." Zorax was silent for a long moment before responding. "Dr. Chen, you must understand. The Alliance has existed for millennia. We've grown, comfortable, set in our ways. But your people, humans, you're different, unpredictable, adaptable. In you, we saw a spark that we had lost long ago." Sarah nodded slowly, understanding dawning. "You needed our innovation, our willingness to take risks." "Yes," Zorax agreed, "but we also feared it. And now, seeing your people in action, I fear we may have unleashed something we cannot control." Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared once again. The Vex had launched a massive counteroffensive, targeting not just the fleet, but civilian worlds deep in Alliance space. As the fleet scrambled to respond, a chilling realization swept through both human and alien forces. This was no longer just a border skirmish or a peacekeeping operation. This was a full-scale war for the survival of all sapient life in the galaxy. General Blackwood's voice cut through the chaos on the bridge. "All ships, this is General Blackwood. The Vex have struck at the heart of Alliance space. We are all that stands between them and total galactic domination. Today, we fight not as humans, not as Alliance members, but as defenders of all life in this galaxy. Today, we show the universe what humanity is truly capable of." As the fleet engaged in what would later be known as the Battle of the Void Nexus, the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Human ingenuity and Alliance technology clashed against the cold, calculating efficiency of the Vex swarms. In the midst of the furious battle, Dr. Sarah Chen made a startling discovery. Analyzing real-time data from the conflict, she noticed a pattern in the Vex behavior, a vulnerability that could turn the tide of the entire war. "General," she called out, her voice urgent, "I think I found a way to defeat the Vex, but it's risky. We'd need to get to the center of their main hive cluster." Blackwood turned to her, his eyes gleaming with a mix of hope and determination. "Dr. Chen, at this point, risk is all we have left. What's your plan?" As Sarah outlined her daring strategy, involving a specially designed virus that could disrupt the Vex hive mind, the battle raged on around them. Human and alien alike fought with desperate courage, knowing that defeat here would mean the end of everything they held dear. The war that had begun as humanity's debut on the galactic stage had become a crucible, forging a new destiny for Earth and the entire Galactic Alliance. As the Defiant plunged towards the heart of Vex territory, carrying with it the hopes of countless worlds, one thing became clear: win or lose, the galaxy would never be the same again. The Void War had reached its climax, and humanity stood at the center of the storm, ready to shape the future of the cosmos. Triumph of the Terrors. The HSS Defiant hurtled through the chaos of the battlefield, its hull scarred by Vex weapons fire. Inside, the crew worked with frantic precision, their faces set with grim determination. At the heart of the ship, Dr. Sarah Chen and a team of human and alien scientists put the finishing touches on their last desperate gambit, a virus designed to disrupt the Vex hive mind. "We're approaching the Vex central cluster." Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled over the intercom. "Whatever you're going to do, Doc, do it fast." Sarah's fingers flew over the holographic interface, making last-minute adjustments to the virus code. "Almost there," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. "Just need to." A violent shudder ran through the ship, nearly knocking Sarah off her feet. General Blackwood's voice boomed through the lab. "We've been hit. Shields at 30% and falling. Chen, we're out of time." With a deep breath, Sarah initiated the upload sequence. "Virus away," she announced, her voice tight with tension. "Now we wait." On the bridge, General Blackwood watched as the tiny probe carrying the virus streaked towards the massive Vex mothership, a construct the size of a small moon, its surface writhing with countless drones and processing nodes. "All ships," Blackwood commanded, "concentrate fire on the mothership. Give that probe a clear path." The combined human and Alliance fleet responded with a devastating barrage. Energy beams and projectiles of all kinds converged on the Vex construct, creating gaps in its defensive swarms. For a moment, it seemed as if the universe held its breath. Then, the probe made contact. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The Vex attacks continued unabated, their swarms as relentless as ever. But then, almost imperceptibly at first, something changed. "Look," Sarah exclaimed, pointing at the sensor readings. "The Vex drones. They're starting to malfunction." Across the battlefield, Vex ships began to move erratically. Some simply shut down, drifting lifelessly in space. Others turned on each other, firing indiscriminately at friend and foe alike. Ambassador Zorax, watching from the Defiance Bridge, let out a sound that might have been a laugh. "By the cosmic egg," he breathed, "it's working." As the Vex forces fell into disarray, the Alliance and human fleets pressed their advantage. Ships that had been on the brink of destruction now turned the tables, tearing into the confused Vex swarms with renewed vigor. In the heart of the Vex mothership, the virus wormed its way through countless systems, rewriting core protocols and shattering the unity of the hive mind. The massive construct began to break apart, its component pieces turning on each other in a spectacular display of self-destruction. "All ships," Blackwood's voice rang out, filled with a fierce joy. "Push forward. Victory is within our grasp." The next few hours were a blur of intense combat and strategic maneuvering. But as the dust settled, one thing became clear: the Vex threat had been neutralized. The galaxy was safe. In the aftermath of the battle, as the remnants of the Vex were hunted down and destroyed, humanity found itself in an unprecedented position. No longer were they the newcomers, the probationary members of galactic society. They had proven themselves to be invaluable allies, innovative warriors, and perhaps most surprisingly, the saviors of the Galactic Alliance. Months later, In the grand chambers of the Alliance Council on Nexus Prime, a ceremony unlike any other in galactic history took place. High Counselor Zura, her crystalline form gleaming, addressed the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds. "Today," she announced, her voice ringing with pride and a hint of awe, "we welcome humanity not just as full members of the Galactic Alliance, but as our honored saviors." Their courage, their ingenuity, and their indomitable spirit turned the tide in our darkest hour. As applause echoed through the chamber, Dr. Sarah Chen and General Blackwood stepped forward to accept the highest honors the Alliance could bestow. Sarah, looking out at the sea of alien faces, no longer strange, but familiar and friendly, felt a wave of emotion wash over her. "We came to the stars as strangers," she said, her voice carrying across the silent chamber. "Feared for our appearance, our history, our potential for violence. But we hope we have shown you another side of humanity, our capacity for innovation, for cooperation, for self-sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds." Blackwood nodded, adding his own thoughts. "We are honored to join this community of worlds, and we pledge to use our strength not for conquest, but for the protection and betterment of all sapient life in the galaxy." As the ceremony concluded, Ambassador Zorax approached the human delegation. "You have surpassed all our expectations," he said, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a gesture Sarah now recognized as one of deep respect. "The galaxy will never be the same, and that, I believe, is for the better." In the years that followed, humanity's influence spread throughout the Alliance. Earth became a hub of interstellar commerce and cultural exchange. Human innovations in technology and strategy were eagerly adopted by other races, and though challenges remained, ancient prejudices don't disappear overnight. After all, the future looked brighter than anyone could have imagined. The terror that had once gripped other species at the sight of humans gradually transformed into admiration and respect. Humanity, once feared as potential conquerors, had instead become the guardians of galactic peace. As Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Earth's first interstellar colony ship, preparing to lead an expedition to uncharted regions of space, she reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this point. From a divided, war-torn planet to a unified force for good in the cosmos, it was a transformation that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. "Ready to make history again, Doctor?" General Blackwood asked, joining her at the viewport. Sarah smiled, her eyes fixed on the starfield before them. "Always, General. The galaxy's full of wonders, and humanity's story is just beginning." As the colony ship engaged its engines, preparing to leap into the unknown, Sarah felt a thrill of excitement. The universe was vast, full of mysteries and challenges. But humanity had proven itself equal to the task. They had faced their fears, overcome seemingly insurmountable odds, and emerged stronger for it. The future, with all its endless possibilities, awaited, and humanity, once the terror of the void, was ready to meet it head-on.